Hello there, life hackers. Garrick here, and today I'm super excited to be talking with Alex Jimenez. Now, Alex is one of the best life hackers I've ever met. She's traveled to almost 40 different countries, and now she makes her life's work teaching other people how they can travel cheaply and how they can travel lightly so they also can see the world. So, Alex, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became the travel fashion girl?
Well, hi, Garrick. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. And I've basically been traveling for the past 7 years. I left my corporate job in 2007. No, I'm lying. In January of 2008. And I've been traveling ever since. I decided it was my opportunity to actually travel and take a break, take a bit of a career break. And what was supposed to be 3 months ended up actually turning into now a life of indefinite travel, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. So that worked out well. Definitely. Yeah, and for the most part, I actually started off by the not so cheap way of traveling. I didn't know about solo travel. Backpacking wasn't as big in the US, especially as it
Yeah.
is now. In 2008, there was hardly any travel blogs. There was a couple here popping up here and there. So it was still very brand new. I spent the first year traveling, taking tours. So I was traveling by myself, but I was on tours to sort of, I thought that was really the only way. None of my friends wanted to travel with me, and I kind of didn't want to sit around waiting for them. So I jumped on different tours, and as I did that, I not only met other travelers that inspired me and told me about backpacking, about solo travel, round the world trips. I was floored by that. It's like, oh my God, you can go away for a year by yourself. That's
Yeah.
scary, right? And I got comfortable with actually being out on my own, arriving in places by myself. So as my confidence grew, a year later, I decided to take off on my round the world backpacking trip. And that in itself, if you're researching how to travel around the world, you want to do it on a budget. So that I did, with a really comfortable budget, actually. I think it was about $15,000 for 9 months. And I
Okay.
know some people do it that much for a whole year or even cheaper, but I actually didn't. I went to a variety of destinations that were a bit pricier, such as
Hmm.
Africa and Australia. And so it kind of balanced out, but I did everything I wanted to do except one damn thing. But I didn't deprive myself from anything else really. Um,
So
yeah,
that's a
and then
cliffhanger. That's a cliffhanger. What was the one thing that you still need to cross off your bucket list?
it was so dumb. I was in New Zealand in I think it was France Joseph, and I didn't do it was where you go trekking on an iceberg, and then that was literally the second or third week of my 9 month trip. I didn't know if I was going to go for 12 months. So I didn't want to blow my budget, and I didn't do the Franz Joseph hiking on the iceberg thing. So I really regret it. It was $100. And that was actually one of my biggest lessons, because even if you're a budget traveler, you have to put things into perspective, because when you're traveling on a budget, it's easy to lose sight of money, and you find yourself arguing over 10 cents, 50 cents, and you don't want to you're haggling over pennies really.
Hmm.
And it's always principle, and you don't want to get ripped off. But when you look at the bigger picture, you think back and, well, if I would have spent $100, would that really have been the end of the world? Is that really so much money that I couldn't have made up for it later on in another place? So now I don't deprive myself of activities like that. So yeah, lesson learned, and now I have to go back to New Zealand just to do it.
So is that when you started the travel fashion girl blog?
No, that was my round the world trip was in 2010. I started conceptualizing Fashion Girl blog in 2011 as I transitioned from backpacker or from round the world backpacker to to long-term traveler. At that point, it goes from, 9 months of travel or 12 months of travel to you don't know what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
I was packing for everything. I'm leaving for an endless amount of time. So I was just packing so much stuff. My bag was beyond heavy. And I really was dreading from the very beginning. I think it was just a month into my trip. I was in Mexico and I was dreading having to move to the next city because I have to
Mhm.
pick up my bag. So I needed a solution to this. And I was really frustrated because there was no packing tips for girls, or feminine, I guess, travel, um, functional packing tips.
Yes.
So I was, there was that whole thing of, I think it was pretty much men writing these tips. You're taking one pair of convertible pants, three quick dry tees, three pairs of underwear. And, I know you guys can flip your underwear inside out and call it make it last for a couple days, but that doesn't quite work for girls. Plus, well, I'm not going to get into underwear, but it just, it was tips like that that really made me frustrated and propelled and inspired me to research how to do it better. I started interviewing girls in Mexico and Guatemala as I was traveling around Central America. Um, a, Several who I actually still keep in touch with now, but it's kind of like, what shoes are you packing? How many underwear are you really traveling with? So I was going up to girls at hostels and stuff and like, can I interview you I'm doing research for a blog.
So,
Okay, cool.
so Alex, I'm definitely interested in your packing tips, but I'm also more interested in. I mean, I know you're chock full of travel hacks on how to travel on a budget. Sometimes you splurge, but you must have a lot of hacks on how to travel cheaply. So I'm curious, what kind of advice would you offer our readers on how they could save money when traveling the world just like you?
Okay, well, one of the ways that I save money is that I stay in places longer. So then you can look for month-long rentals at a really disgustingly inexpensive rate.
Hmm.
So let's say if you're going on vacation, your hotel might cost you $200 per night.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can definitely cut that down with budget travel. And maybe if you're staying at a guest house or a hostel, your accommodation can be anywhere from $5 to $30, $40 a night. So that's still pretty good. Now, as a long-term traveler looking for places that rent on a monthly basis, I'm now looking at an average rate of $200 to $350 a month.
Wow.
So that definitely cuts down on things massively. And those are, it's really basic accommodation, but I'm 5 minutes away from the beach, in Thailand and in Mexico where I've had both, I've had two rentals like with that pricing, and I've
Hmm.
been a 5 minute walk from the beach. So that's awesome.
So you
So
can
that's
get good
definitely a good thing.
locations.
Yeah, you'll be surprised because once you start looking for monthly, it's a whole different. There's a lot of different options, a lot of opportunities, and even traveling and staying at hostels and guest houses, while it can be still inexpensive as in comparison to vacation traveler to a vacation traveler, then when you have the opportunity that you don't have a time limit, you can really take advantage of that when it comes to saving money.
So how long do you typically stay in any one place?
It used to be anywhere from 3 days to a week, a couple of weeks. Now, after it's been quite a while, so I'm not as interested in chasing after passport stamps and moving quickly. And I think that's a really important thing for someone who's looking to work on the road, especially.
Hmm.
It's not as easy to move as quickly. So now I usually stay in places for a minimum of a week.
Hmm.
And then like if I like a place, I'll just stay longer, a month. And if I'm there for scuba diving, my boyfriend's a dive master for scuba diving, so
Hmm.
he tends to look for work different wherever we go. So if there's opportunities, then we'll stay 4 to 6 months.
Okay. So up
But
up
yeah,
to that long, but between a
I
month.
think after 6 months, it's just too much for me. I'm definitely looking. I'm right now. I'm definitely looking to do what I'm calling a semi-settling down thing, but that would mean 6 months in a different destination, like 6 months in a new destination ever. Because I think staying any longer than that, you just get itchy feet. But I don't want to move as quickly because it's tiring. Plus, I do have Travel Fashion Girl, which is now my full-time job.
Yeah.
So I need to be able to spend a good amount of time working on that as well.
I feel like that's kind of the transition for a lot of digital nomads. Like you might get an online job or online freelancing or something to that effect, and then you start traveling the world. At first, you just want to go, 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 go. But as time goes on, you realize that it's more fun to stay in a place for a month or two. And I think that's the pattern a lot of people find themselves in.
I
So,
think definitely I've transitioned, especially recently, I've learned that, I think because I became a digital nomad after I was traveling for 4 or 5 years, 4 years, then I kind of had a weird situation where in the beginning it was just about traveling and moving and exploring, and then it became, well, I'm working, so I need to take it to slow down a bit. So
yeah.
my travel really has evolved, especially after launching the website.
Mhm. One thing I'm curious about, and you obviously are a digital nomad, and you're able to do that through your blog and teaching other people how to do this cheaply and lightly. But I'm curious, you've also interviewed a lot of other travelers. Have you noticed a general trend if someone wants to become a digital nomad? Have you noticed a trend amongst people you've interviewed, people you've talked to, of what's a really good place to go to if they want to work on the road?
100% Chiang Mai in Thailand is a major digital nomad and expat hub. It's a very inexpensive place to live. It's very comfortable. It's a huge community. I mean, there's plenty of the Wi-Fi is good. There's plenty of cafes and places to meet with travelers. There's masterminds. I personally can't live in Chiang Mai because it's not next to a beach. They've now created an artificial beach on a lake, but there's no diving there, so I can't stay there. But it's a great city. I've been there several times, and that's definitely a major hub. Another one is Cebu in the Philippines. I did meet up with a digital nomad community. It's called the. Ooh, I'm blanking right now, so I'm not going to tell you. But I did meet up with several digital nomad travelers while I was in Cebu in the Philippines. So that's also popular. I think right now in Brazil, isn't there Sao Paulo is becoming like a Silicon Valley of Brazil?
I'm not sure about that. I haven't actually heard. I don't pay much attention to South America, to be honest.
I think a lot of people love Southeast Asia. It just has, and I know you're right now in Hong Kong. That's not Southeast, but I think
Oh no, no.
Asia has a
Actually,
lot
I'm
to
in
offer
Cebu.
travel. Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm in Cebu right now.
Okay, I thought you were in Hong Kong.
I always say Hong Kong time zone because it's kind of confusing for some people, but yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah, so Cebu's the perfect place.
that is awesome. Uh, Also, I'm curious, since if you've met a lot of other digital nomads, have you noticed kind of a trend of actually what's the best job somebody can go after? Would you suggest freelancing, blogging? I mean, it will obviously take some momentum and work to get started, but what's a good starting point that will lead into digital nomadism?
I think the ideal situation for anybody would be if you were able to work remotely. If you had a job at home and like based on the 4 hour work week, get them to sort of let you work remotely and not come into the office every day. That's the best because you're getting money from home and you can do it wherever you want. So it's job security
Gotcha.
and the freedom of location. So that's definitely, I think, a good balance if you're able to work that out. And jobs that you can do that are graphic designer, social media manager. If you're already doing jobs like that where you're working on your laptop, on from your computer at home, then it's sort of easy to transition to doing that on the road.
Yeah.
And then if the other option is, if you can't do that for the company that you're working with, taking on freelance clients, that's another option. And with anything really, whether it's freelancing or blogging, it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
It isn't just, sitting on a beach with your laptop and a Corona in your hand, a little umbrella. It is so much work to actually make it on the road. And obviously the ideal for anybody would be the 4-hour work week where you have everything automated and flowing.
Yeah.
Um, so I do try to do that as much as possible to still enjoy travel. But just keep in mind, I would suggest that no matter which way you go, one, try to be passionate about it because
Hmm.
you do spend a lot of time working. I think Travel Fashion Girl, the first 3 months I launched it, I was up 24 hours a day for 3 months, working. I was really in, but I was also very into it. So
Yeah.
I was exhausted, but I loved doing it. So it was exciting for me. So try to really find your passion and how you can monetize that while you're traveling. Right now, in the past few years, the opportunities are endless. Take what you know. And I guess right now another really popular way of working on the go is informational products. So what do you know? How can you turn that into a
Oh yeah.
product and selling that as well? Those are
Actually, one thing for our readers, one of the best. I want to get Alex's opinion also, but one of the best places I know of for learning how to sell informational products is Ed Dale's The Challenge.
Oh, I
Um,
haven't heard of
you haven't heard of that?
it. No,
Okay.
I've heard of the other guys. I can't. David and Neil and other
One
people. I can't remember right now.
we can put more links below, but we'll put some resources below for checking that out. Um, So I guess my next question, kind of transitioning out of that, is why do you think a lot of people, I mean, past of course the whole scared of money thing, and that's dealable. You can get an online job, and there's also a lot of tips out there for traveling really cheaply. I was just in an interview with Manish Sethi, and he gave us a hack where you can basically get airline tickets for free.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hacks out there. It's not as expensive as you think. Heck, living in Cebu where I am right now, it's just ridiculous cheap. It's cheaper than living with your parents almost. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of hacks out there, but maybe past that, why do you think a lot of people don't travel when even if they want to?
If they really, really want to, I think they will travel. They can. I find a lot of people say to me, "Oh, I wish I could do what you do," but they don't really try. And I think it's just, with anything, it may sound really cheesy, but if you actually want something, you can't just sit around and like wait for it to come to you. You've got to actually go out there and make it happen for yourself. But it definitely for the people that do want to do it, I think it's fear of the unknown, fear of failure. And the reality is, you have to ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? You leave your job, you go to explore the world, give it a shot. It doesn't work, you come back home. And if you needed to actually get a job again, how long would it actually take you to start over? I mean, that's as far as work's concerned, but leaving your family and friends, I've been gone for 7 years. I come back, nothing's really changed. Your friends and family are still there. They're still the same. You might miss a few life events along the way, but you can always fly back if you want to. You just have to look at really what is the worst case scenario. And if you don't do it now, would you regret it later on?
Yeah,
And, along the way, I've met so many people that said, oh, I wish that I would have done that at your age, or I wish I would have had the opportunity to do that. Now I can't. So, do you want to be in that position later on? And I can't imagine for me, that's one of the things that really encouraged me to do it.
yeah,
Because I met a lot of people traveling that were doing it when they were divorced, when their kids were out of high school, when they were retired, and I think that was one of the things that really was a game changer for me is hearing
yeah,
those stories and thinking about my parents as well. And I thought, well, why do I have to wait till I'm 40, 60, 50 to travel? Why can't I do a semi-retirement now and then go back and
Yeah.
work later if I really want to. My goal initially, I didn't digital nomadism wasn't really a big thing in 2008, so
Yeah.
it's not like I set off with this goal. But now it's available more than now it's available more than any other time. So you never know how long the ride's gonna last, so you might as well jump on it and give it a go.
And one thing I really like that you commented is that you can always go back and get a job if it doesn't work. You always have that last $200 to get on a plane
Yeah.
ride back. And there's plane tickets are really cheap if you know how to do it. So, but one thing I actually want to add to that is I don't know any statistics or anything to back this up, but one thing I've noticed 100% everybody who I've met who did go out there and did put themselves on the line and did travel and try to make that work, even if they failed, when they come back, they are basically changed as a person, and all those
Yeah.
changes, who they have become, they get better jobs.
Yes. Yes. 100%. That was the next thing I was going to say because before Travel Fashion Girl, I would come back home and I would work.
Hmm.
And the fact that I traveled really sort of impressed my employer. So it's not that they saw this gap in work as a negative thing. They were
Yeah,
just, oh, so why did you do it? Where have you gone? They were intrigued, and I honestly pretty much got every job I applied to. I'm not
yeah,
even gonna lie, and obviously it wasn't just because because of traveling, but I think when you're traveling, you get to know yourself so much better, and the confidence you build. You know,
yeah.
when I was working my corporate job, the president of the company used to terrify me. I was like, oh my god, I hi, how are you? Good morning, and I just shrunk to this little tiny person. And now I think to myself, well, I've done way cooler things than you, so you don't really scare me. So if I had to be in that position again, I'd feel a lot more confident with myself as a person as well.
You, it might be private, but I'm curious actually. What job did you have before you decided to become the travel fashion girl?
I spent 6 years working for a trade show in the fashion industry.
Okay.
It was a corporate job. It was the biggest trade show in the world for fashion, and it took place in Las Vegas twice a year. So it was pretty massive, but I actually really liked my job. I actually had a
Yeah.
really bad job. I was a sponsorship and events coordinator for them, so with an awesome boss, and I got really great experience and I had a lot of perks. So I wasn't one of those people that hated my job. So it was
Yeah.
actually really hard for me to leave.
But it was worth it.
Oh yeah, in the end, I couldn't, it couldn't have turned out any better so far, no regrets really. And that's how, right now, I want to live my life.
Hmm.
Actually read an article the other day about this girl that left New York after having like a $95,000 a year job and went to the Caribbean to sell ice cream. And it really, even though I've been traveling for a while, it really made me think. And I thought to myself, well, I've been traveling for 7 years now. I've really ticked off a lot of items on my bucket list. So now what?
Hmm.
What happens now? And it was really inspiring for me to think I'm 33. So I still have at least another 33 years to go to do really awesome stuff. So it's just, I have new goals. I want to learn new things. It's just, completely inspired to do, I don't know, more than just travel or to take on new challenges when I do travel. Sorry, I went off somewhere. I had a point with that, and I just went off somewhere on a tangent with that one.
No, I like that. So, kind of talking about the experiences you have had, what would you say would be the most amazing, kick-ass, whatever, the best moment that you can think of that you've had while traveling? Or have you had experiences like this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the one that comes instantly to my mind is my first big trip to India, and that's what changed my life. I went to India on a tour in March, April of 2008, and it really made me realize, and it made me question myself, what was I doing with myself? I was, the people that I met, the travelers that I met, the locals that I met, that for me was the turning point in my life, and I'll never forget that experience. Just it was just I don't know, I can't even describe it. It was just magical. So going to India for me really transformed me and everything I believed in. Instead of working hard for objects and material goods, and that being the goal of what I did, the goal of all my accomplishments, I wanted to
Yeah.
have a bigger significance. I wanted my life to mean something a little bit deeper, and to take advantage of the fact that I did have a lot of we sometimes don't realize how lucky we are and
Hmm.
how many opportunities that we do have. So I really wanted to take advantage of that and make the most of my life, I suppose. So yeah, India for sure was that. And I guess the second biggest thing would be scuba diving. I love scuba diving, so that's completely opened up a whole new world of exploration for me. So now it's not even about looking at temples or going to world wonders. It's about where can I find hammerhead sharks? It's about,
Yeah.
where do I see this rare mandarin fish? Whatever that is. So scuba diving is definitely massive for me.
That's awesome. Well, we're running out of time. We've covered a lot of awesome topics here, but one thing I do want to drill in a little bit more, and we're running out of time, so maybe we'll just try and make this brief. But can you think of any other? I mean, a lot of people's the excuse they give themselves is money, so that's kind of why I want to focus on a little bit more. Can you think of any other tips that, and then watch them in each SETI video later if they want to do the plane tickets, but any other hacks that you can think of to make travel cheaper?
Yes, 100%. Workaway is an awesome website that shows you an endless list of opportunities around the world. I've traveled for free, um, and have had some of the most amazing experiences through Workaway. Um,
Dot
it's
com?
workaway.info, I believe.
Okay.
So you go on there, you check out, let's say you want to go to the Philippines and you want to go to Cebu. So you think, so you go check it out and see if there's any opportunities there. And you might find things like volunteering at an orphanage or working for a digital marketing company and, or teaching English. What else? Working at a hostel, working at a cafe. There's so many random things. And the way it works is that you work for about 20 hours a week,
Hmm.
and in exchange for accommodation and sometimes food. So you may not be earning money, but you're not spending money, and you get to participate in a really unique experience. And I've done this in the jungles of Guatemala, in the jungles of Borneo, on Koh Phangan and Koh Samui, possibly other locations. But it's a great way to save money and do something completely different. And if you're a digital nomad, because you're only working for 20 hours a week, you still have time to one, travel and explore like you should be doing,
Yeah.
and also then you have some time to sit on your laptop and get some work done as
Hmm.
well. So definitely check out workaway.info.
That's awesome. And I think that seals the deal. You'll find links below for all the stuff we talked about in this interview. I just want to say thanks, Alex.
Thank you for having me, and seriously, don't be afraid to travel. You can do it on the cheap, and once you're out there, you'll meet so many people that'll be able to give you even more tips and more hacks.
Yeah.
It'll work out, and if it doesn't, you can go back home. Not much lost.
All right. See ya.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.